Welcome, and I would like to show you how to make an aubergine schnitzel with mozzarella and sun-dried tomatoes. We're also going to do it with a coconut curry sauce and add a potato masala. The first thing we need to do is get the aubergine on the griddle. So you want those cut sort of roughly the same size. The griddle, as you can see in the background, is blasting away. Let's just have a look. 2, 4, 6, that should do it. And I'm just going to lay them on until they've got a nice sort of lattice either side on the griddle. So I'm just taking those off. They're now cooked. And we're going to let those cool for a second. And then I'm going to cut them so they're all exactly the same shape and size with this pastry cutter. The first thing I'm going to do is just prep mozzarella, so I just need enough for 3 sandwiches, so that should probably do it. I've got these sun-dried tomatoes here, which I am just going to roughly slice. Again, that's probably more than enough, and I'll set those aside for the moment. The aubergines have now cooled down, so I want them to be all roughly the same size. The actual aubergine discs will then pané, which means coat them in breadcrumbs, and I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward, I'm sure you know, but we're going to do it anyway. Now for the panéing process. So a bit of flour, egg, and then breadcrumbs. Now those have been panéed, we're just going to line each little sandwich with some mozzarella, just enough to fill each one. I think a tiny little bit of seasoning on each is always going to be welcome. And then a little dollop of the sun-dried tomatoes. Those are our little sandwiches, and those are going to go in the oven for about 12 minutes on 170 degrees. With the aubergines in the oven, I'm now just going to do the masala potatoes. So pan goes on, oil in the pan. I'm going to crank it up as high as I dare to 10. I'm going to kick off with some onion and garlic. Then I'm going to add some diced ginger. And finally, I've made a little curry powder from cumin, coriander, turmeric, and garam masala. But you can do whichever one you like. You can also use curry leaves for that, but they are quite difficult to get at the moment. Right, the onions go in, garlic goes in, add the ginger, and the curry sauce, curry powder rather, goes in. And then these potatoes have already been cooked. We put them in boiling water for about 5 or 6 minutes. And what we'll do is we'll just sort of smash them up a bit. I'll probably do that off heat. But that's it. I just want to get the flavour in there. So I'm going to smash them up. Job done. Just as a final thing, I'm just going to put some mustard seeds in there. Makes it a little bit more interesting. Right, I'm going to set those aside. And I'm now going to make a curry sauce. Quite a nice little recipe, this, because it allows me to explain the very basic principles of getting spice into food, and in this case a sauce. I've made a little curry powder here, so that's turmeric, chili, coriander, cumin, and a bit of garam masala as well. If you just throw that into a liquid, all that will happen is the spices will rise to the top and then just go to the side of the pan. But if you put them in the onion and then you put liquid on top of the onion, the flavour and the spice will slowly seep out into the sauce. Onions in first, and now the garlic. Right, there we go. Lovely. So that's the curry powder, and that can sizzle away. If I put the coconut milk in, at the moment, I mean, I think the key to this is if you look at the texture now, it's quite runny, and what we want to do is reduce that down. So again, this is a perfect example of how to make a sauce. What we're doing is we're reducing the volume of the liquid and intensifying the flavour and making the sauce more syrupy. So we're looking for, you know, a thickness to it. Now I'm going to transfer this over to the hob because I'm going to do some spinach over there. And Carlos, who's in the background, is going to keep an eye on it so that it doesn't spill over. So what I wanted to do now is just cook the spinach off. We'll take the aubergine out the oven, plate up with the potatoes, and then hopefully by then the sauce, which we're desperately trying to cook down so it all comes together, will be ready in time. So the onion goes in, and a little bit of garlic too. I'm just going to let that sizzle away for a little longer before adding those leaves in. And all that will happen is this will now cook down in about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Right, I'm going to take the aubergines out the oven. We'll just let those cool down for a little bit whilst we plate up. So we've got our potato base, or masala curry potato base. I'm just going to layer this with spinach. And then let's get our aubergines on there. And then my curry sauce is looking great. I'm happy with that. Plate those up. There are the aubergine. And then finally, the coconut curry sauce. Aubergine schnitzel, masala, curried potatoes, coconut curry sauce.